on the way to the bike shop. Believe it or not, I am on the way to the bike path. I'm hoping that one day this will actually be a bike path. As of now, we got this. Eventually this will hook up. Out of the range. So, bike path, sort of. Grizzly Peak, a little bit of some kind of a controlled burn there. Looks like it's producing a lot of smoke, but I think burning is still allowed right now at this point in the year. Technically not spring just yet. Here we have the beginning of a proper bike path. Railroad Park. Coming up on a monument to the railroad workers. That is a giant railroad spike. Riding my trusty DS3 this morning. Still working on breaking in my Brooks saddle. That's the B17, which I will show you just in this moment here as I stop by the monument to the spike. So there she is. And this is pretty cool.
Apparently there were a lot of golden spikes pounded in to commemorate these joinings all around the country. I like this one because it's ours.
That sound you heard as I was looking at the monument marker there was another big wheel e-bike. We saw a ton of those when we were in Redondo. Seemed like there was as many e-bikes on that path as there were regular bikes, acoustic bikes as we lovingly refer to them. Ashland. I don't know if it's technically Parks and Rec or City of Ashland, but this is the big lot. A little graffiti, but not much. And there's Garfield Park. And that's the Grove, that's where I'm going. East Main. And not a bad backline here, right? Still, given the choice, I'm on the sidewalk. It's like somebody's visiting. Let's see what's going on in the shop today.
So
Hey, how's it going? Clip is zero budget.
RVTV has offered us a few bucks.
Did you get my email, by the way?
Did you send me links?
I send you links.
Okay. I'm going to organize all that today
Yeah,
and get an order
cool.
on. So we have a one-time infusion of like $1,000 or so.
And that's it.
That we're going to, we've immediately spent. The second it was. Anyway, so we recently had to move bike shops, and we're actually still not 100% moved. And we had a larger space, and we had to go to a smaller space, but we're doing okay. The main thing we lost is we used to keep 100 dead bikes out here. All of this has to go away when we're done on Thursday afternoon. And all get stuff back in here, but we used to store all of our dead bikes out here and pick from here. And now we got to go. We've got 2 Connex boxes over here.
What about something like a Connex?
Yeah, we got 2 Connex boxes, and it's just kind of a drag as far as like trying to get something out of the back of one of those. It's just they're already immediately overstuffed.
Okay, what's next? Tear this one apart?
Or if you've got to decide which tire you want to use. You've got this one, you've got that one, and you've got any number of.
So this is a new one. Definitely a very cool donation. So I just rode my dual sport here. Here's another dual sport. This is a bit older. We'll get the year on this one just for the heck of it. Here's the list of things to do. That's Mike's writing, so it looks like he's already assessed this. Looks like some pretty straightforward stuff. Definitely a bike swap bike. That's coming in April, so this should help us with some income for the shop. It's a really nice bike. It looks practically unridden. Not a high-end bike. So Sarah is third up from the bottom. It's one below Derailleur in the mountain group. So, good commuter, but nothing super special. But I bet this bike's worth at least a couple $100. It's the 8.3, which I don't know, honestly, at this point, what that means in terms of level. I would say not the cheapest one, though.
Wait, sprocket goes. Yeah. This side?
Just Tektro on there. Before I start working on this bike properly, I'm curious about the age of it. So,
Hi there. Oh, that's Dave. Hi, Dave.
hey,
How are you?
I'm great.
Great. You want a hug?
Yeah, let me turn this off.
Good.
I'm gonna show you where you can find your bike serial number. So always under here. The newer ones are gonna have a sticker as well as the stamp. This doesn't have that. But what I want for my Trek is a WTU number. Try to turn this light on. So there's WTU, and still hard to see, but so it looks like 128 CO. It's like a 907K.
I'm working on a detailed video to explain the whole WTU serial number date code system that Trek uses, and I will put that in the links.
The more time I spend with this, the more I like it. Clearly, this person was into their bike with the pedals that match the blue accents on the striping. You've got these little accents here on the cable housing ends, the ferrules, and even the cable ends, that anodized blue. So people clearly were thinking about this bike. What I'm gonna do right now is just rotate these handlebars up. So if you look, they're kind of swept back. But what that does is it lowers your position. So you end up being hunched a little forward. And this bike is really meant to be more of an upright bike. So there's just 4 screws here, and I'm gonna loosen them. This is a 4mm. Sometimes these will be a 5. Haven't seen them in any other except 4s and 5s. I'm thinking about when I'm doing this is I'm gonna go and just do this in a bit of a pattern. So this is already a little bit loose. So that's all I need. I'm just gonna rotate these up a little bit. So now you see the angle here, more for an upright ride. And then likely I'm also gonna have to then change how these shifters and brake levers, how they're angled as well. So as you can see, if I'm doing this properly, I'm gonna make sure that this knurling is centered. It looks pretty good to me. And doing this like deliberately and also incrementally
If I were using like carbon bars here, which these are not, these are steel, so I don't have to be quite as careful with my torque specs. I'm just gonna do it by feel. But just as I'm doing this, I'm gonna make sure that I'm not just doing two, not going, so in other words, going around, you know. So taking opposite bolts. Before I put this on the ground and adjust the angles of the shifters and levers, because now these are kind of pointing down, so if this has been changed, I'm gonna basically change it back. Just wanna see how it's shifting and braking in the stand. I'm still gonna do a test ride, because you just never know. But let's give this a go. I had not operated this crank at all. No complaints. Mechanical disc brakes, so like I pointed out, these are just cable actuated as opposed to hydraulic. Some people swear by these. Like, I'm not a huge fan, but I gotta say, they work. They work fine. Check the front derailleur. So if you look, I've got my chain right now on the middle gear back here, or middle sprocket. I'm gonna check these chain rings now and just see how the front shifter works. Right now it's on the lowest one. There's the middle one. Let me just check this again real quick. And now the highest gear. When I go up, so I've got the high gear here, I'm gonna go to the low gear on the back. Barely a little rubbing here, which I would expect, because now it's what's called cross-chained. And now that I've got high gear here and high gear here, there really shouldn't be that rubbing. So that to me says that needs a little bit of adjustment. And I'm gonna do that right now. With these, there's an adjustment here, this barrel adjustment. So I probably am not gonna have to worry about like letting out cable. Let's see what I can do. So I'm just gonna take my barrel adjuster up here and I'm going to turn it inwards. And what that's gonna do is then shorten the distance that the cable inside has to travel through the housing. And so what that's effectively gonna do is take some of the tension off of this. It's gonna relax it, and that should then move it outward. Let's see if I got that right. Depends on where it's hitting. But as you can see, I didn't get that right because it's hitting on this outer cage, which means now I have to pull the cage this way. That means I have to take up the room in the housing. So I'm gonna turn it now outwards. And what that's gonna do is put more tension, and it's gonna make the cable in here travel further. Let's see if that did anything. Good, but not good enough. So I'm just gonna keep doing that process and see what I can do. I'm hoping I can move it out enough so that when I'm in this higher gear, it doesn't rub. Let's try that. Not yet. So I wonder, I'm gonna just drop down my lowest gear See what kind of tension there is on the cable. You can see this is there's the cable in here. It's right now, this is very loose. So it makes me suspect that it could be tighter yet. I'm gonna turn this barrel adjuster outwards a little more. And now I'm gonna see what that did. So this is the position that I really want to test. Okay, no more rubbing. Now let's make sure it's getting all the rest of the gears. I may have to do more adjustment yet. So it still hops down okay there. And now I'm cross-chaining the other direction. So now I have smallest chain ring here and smallest cog in the back, which usually no one's gonna really ride like that. So not too concerned if I did get a little rubbing, but looks like I don't have that situation. Let's hop up to the middle one now. Getting a little bit of rubbing here, just a tad. So I'm gonna try even a little further out. See if I can get that going away. Yeah, so I feel like I'm now out of adjustment here. So I'm just, at some point what happens is if you keep turning it, this is gonna just freewheel. So unfortunately, that means I'm gonna have to adjust the cable because I've now run out of barrel adjuster on this thing. Sometimes you'll see on these guys, you'll see a second barrel adjuster. Sometimes there'll be one in line on the cable. That's not the case here. So what I'm gonna do is take the slack off of this and then tighten this cable down. Notice the routing on this one's a little bit different than you see on other ones. Not problematic, just different. So something to notice. I'm guessing that's a 5. So what I'm gonna do is take the tension off this cable, and that means I'm gonna shift into the smallest cog. Nice brakes. And again, I'm just, really this is pretty loose. I think that's the action. So I am now at the front of the bike, I'm turning this barrel adjuster all the way in. And boy, it turns a lot. And then just out a teeny little bit. So all I did was, again, I just turned this all the way in, and then I turned it back outwards, which would be that direction, just a bit. So now I have a little wiggle room either way. And as you can see on this, it's even more loose than before, as expected. And I'm gonna grab my 5mm, so that's this guy here, and I'm gonna turn it out a little bit. I'm gonna hold this so it doesn't pop out. I'm just gonna loosen this barely enough. It's not very tight. You should be able to see the slack go away. If I can help it, I want to take this apart as little as possible. So let's see if just that much is enough. Often what they call cable stretch isn't really stretch. It's just the cable sort of settling into all the places. This bike, by the way, has some internal cable routing. So there's different arguments to be made about why that's good or not. As a bike mechanic, it's not good because it's just more work. But if you look here, it starts here, and then this goes around here and then into the frame. So that means this cable is now traveling through the frame, and then it pops out from underneath. So it pops out right here, and then you can see it going up through here, this routing here, and then up. This now feels more taut. It's not super tight, but it's tighter than it was. So let's go ahead and take a look now and see how we do with this shifting. Go ahead and put it right now on the largest one in the back, and right now, so it's smallest one in the front, which means your climbing gear, and biggest one in the back, that's your climbing gear. And let's shift this thing up. It looks pretty good. Let's just make sure it's not gonna rub as I drop down to the lowest gear. So now that's a rub. So I'm gonna try to pull it this way by turning this barrel adjuster out a little bit. That's like basically a turn-ish. In an ideal world, you can ride in this center chain ring, which I'll shift up into in a sec, and on the center here. And again, there'll be no rubbing, but you should be able to stay in that center chain ring and have no rubbing and no rubbing. You're not always gonna get that, depending on the system. But I think especially on this bike, I should be able to do that. So there's that middle one. And let's make sure I get that. Let's go into the highest, lowest gear there. So biggest gear is the lowest gear. Teeny tiny bit of rubbing. That feels pretty good. Just the teeniest bit of rubbing here when I'm in the center gear here and the biggest gear here. should say center chain ring. So I'm gonna try this barrel adjuster again. So close. So here I am in this now small and big in the back. No rubbing. So let's try medium again. Sometimes that's just me not shifting it properly. That's pretty good. There's the cross chain. So biggest and biggest. That's smallest, smallest. Biggest, middle, 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 smallest. Let's see. So close. Let's see if that did it. So close. Just gonna tweak this cage a teeny tiny bit. There we are. Let's see if that changed anything else. Okay. Sometimes you just gotta get in there and do it, you know? That's all it took, was just a little bit of a doink to get that last tiny fraction of a millimeter right. This next part I'm gonna put on the ground and really see what the bars are doing here. Kickstand would be nice. I don't have that luxury at the moment. We're thinking about getting one for this bike. This bike has a special kickstand mount on it. So normally we just drop one right in there, but on these tracks, and a bunch of other brands too, so it's not just this one. This one has a special mount right here. So there are actually two mounting screws. I need to measure center to center here in millimeters to get that, because there'll be some that are a little more widely spaced than this. So you can't just buy it and assume it's gonna work. So this is just a junker caliper. So center to center. There's one time around. And second time around, that's really pretty much dead on. Okay, so we need a 19 millimeter spread there for this kickstand. Now what's happening is that these, because I changed the angle of bars, these are too far this way. So I'm gonna just rotate them up a little bit. And typically this is a 5 millimeter. Yes. And it looks like this brake lever, I don't know if you can see it, but it's hiding under this shift paddle right there. So they're both here, they're both 5s. When I was working on the Schwinn last week, you saw that the grip shifter has a 2.5, but that's not this case. So I'm gonna just level out these things. So that's that
Is
one.
Drew gonna buy this thing from us?
You know, I think he might. He really was looking at it like he liked it. He's starting to take pictures of it. He did a standover test on it, and he liked it. Can you hear the line dancers? You better think. So now I'm just going to take this and just rotate it up a little bit. And what I'm going to have to do is first do this one. And I'm actually going to stand over it and test it before I tighten up the shifter. I'm just not tightening it very much right now. Just want to make sure that the angle feels good to me. Careful of your camera, dude. That feels really nice. So now you can see that my wrist is pretty straight across there. So it's a nice, chill, relaxed ride. I'll go ahead and tighten this further. This one here, just making sure this is up against here. And then same thing. Because it's not a carbon bar, I'm once again not worrying too much about my torque specs, just giving it a tweak. Now you can see that they're uneven, right? So I gotta do the other side. I'm just gonna eyeball it. Get that out of the way so we can access this brake lever. Just kind of going back and forth, eyeballing it. It looks like it's about right. So I'm going to tighten it up partially. This bike really doesn't need much. All right, let's do a little test ride. Indoor test ride. This seat's a little higher than I would want it to be for me, but I'm not gonna mess with that. The new owner do that. There's extra stuff in here today, so it's a little bit harder than that. It's good though. So tight. I'm calling this guy good. So I just crossed out all this stuff, and I'm about just to write the note, 19mm kickstand spacing. There you go. So no huge ceremony because I didn't do much on this one. So I'm just gonna blue tape this guy. Very hard to do this one-handed. Calling it good.